So as you can see now, the pulley is pressed all the way down. It's flush with the shaft. I back this off, and I'll take and unscrew this nut now and remove that. And this is how it should look right here. You should have a pulley on there with the shaft flush. And now all we've got to do is take the protective caps here off and get ready to install. There is some O-rings that's going to come inside with the pump, or should come with the pump, and these will go on the pressure lines, or I'm sorry, the return lines. Whenever you get ready to go back in, there should be some O-rings in there. I saw there was one in there. Make sure to put those in there so you won't have any leaks, and we can start to install. Okay guys, update, the pump is on. Now what I had to do was ended up having to take these air conditioner lines, and I bent them up a little bit. I can bend it back, it's not a big deal. I did not want to have to take this refrigerant out and recharge it. You can slightly bend these lines to get them up out of the way. As you can see, I've got the motor jacked up quite a good bit. This mount here is probably sitting 2.5, maybe 3 inches. If I can get the camera in there, it's probably sitting 2.5 to 3 inches off of this firewall. As a matter of fact, it's all the way touching the back. It's up about as far as you can go without messing something up. It is possible to do it. This is kind of why I want to do the video for those of you who have never done this, because I wanted to outline something to see how many mounts you had to take loose. But as you can see, the intake there is pretty much all the way at the top of the back of the firewall. It is touching, but it's not touching enough to where it's going to crack it or damage it. I did not want to do that. So it is possible, but you've got to get this pulley. You've got to overcome the pulley and this ledge right here in the firewall. So it's a tight fit, guys. It's really tight. I'm not gonna lie. You've got to jack this thing up about as far as it'll go, and do that. But you can get it in there. As you can see, it's flush. So all I've got to do now is bolt it back up with the 2 bolts that's in the front. I've got to connect the lines and put my O-rings in there, and we're going to do that now. First thing I'm going to do though before I do that is I'm going to let this engine down about 1 inch just to make sure that there's no tension or anything. I went ahead and let it down about 1 inch, and ready to go ahead and put those 2 bolts in the front. And I'm going to need probably a 12mm long socket with a 1/4 inch ratchet. We're going to try that and see if that will snug that pump up. Here's a picture of the long 12mm socket sticking out of that 6 o'clock hole at the bottom. Basically what I did is I took the nut and stuck it on the end of the socket and stuck it through the hole and felt around in there. You have to be careful, make sure it don't drop and fall through, but it found its mark, and I've got it snug. Now I'm going to do the same thing with the 12 o'clock position hole and snug both of those up and move on. Okay, so the pump is snugged up. I have removed the plug there that goes right in there where the return hose goes. There's an O-ring that goes there. I'm going to take and replace that O-ring. There's also another O-ring that comes with the pump that's going to go on the end of the pressure line. I'm going to put both of those in, and then I'm going to go ahead and reinstall the mounts for the motor. I've already let the jack down. I apologize for that. I've already let the jack down and made sure everything was okay with that and removed it. I'm going to go ahead and straighten these lines back out and put that bolt back in there, and we shouldn't have a whole lot left to do before we put the belt on. Okay, as you can see, I have both of the lines hooked back up. I've got the pressure line, which is the threaded one, and the return line, which is the one that's bolted in. I have the O-rings back on those. All that's tightened up and ready to go. I have moved the air conditioner lines that I had to pull up earlier. I've got those tightened back down with the bracket. What I'm going to do now is go ahead and route the belt around the pulleys. I don't have a diagram to go by for this car, but basically if your belt was on before, you can take a picture of it and make sure that you've got the belts going around the same way. General rule is that any of the pulleys that have ribs on them means that it needs grip, so you're going to have the rib side going down, mating with those grooves, and anything that has a smooth side on the pulley is going to be running on the back side of the belt, so that will help you route it. Don't think I'm going to have any problems with that, but I'm going to go ahead and route the belt and go ahead and put the 3 bolts back in this motor mount over here, and then I'm going to go ahead and fire the car up to make sure everything's running good before I put the air cleaner box back on. So anyway, guys, we got the belt on. It was quite a chore. I didn't have a guideline to go by, so I just looked up on the internet, and there's quite a few hits on how the belts are supposed to be routed. Ended up doing that. It was pretty difficult still. This side over here is very narrow. It's hard to get any kind of tool down in there. So basically what I did, my wife helped me. We had the car shut off. We basically took the belt and got all the pulleys on except for the, well, actually we got all the pulleys on except for the power steering part of it, and then we took a pry bar. It was her idea. We took the pry bar and rolled the pry bar back this way with the belt on top of it, and it actually got the belt on the pulley. So the car is running. The system's been bled out. We turned it from lock to lock each side on the steering wheel. Got the air bled out, and all I've got to do now is put the air box back on. The car does have a leaking reservoir, which I think may have contributed to the reason the pump burned up, because it ran out of fluid. But got to get a reservoir for it. But for now, it's pretty much a done deal, except for putting the air box back on. But I hope this video will help somebody out there, save some steps maybe on learning how to put a power steering pump in a Chevy Aveo 2007. I apologize for not being able to show some of what I actually did, but being by myself, I couldn't hold the camera. But anyway, thanks so much, and I hope you enjoyed this video.